Psalm 86. Hear me, Lord, and answer me, for I am poor and needy. Guard my life, for I am faithful to you. Save your servant who trusts in you. You are my God. Have mercy on me, Lord, for I call you all day long. Bring joy to your servant, Lord, for I put trust in you. You, Lord, are forgiving and good, abounding in love to all who call to you. Hear my prayer, Lord. Listen to my cry for mercy. When I am in distress, I call to you, because you answer me. Among the gods there is none like you, Lord. No deeds compare with yours. All the nations you have made will come and worship before you, Lord. They will bring glory to your name. For you are great and do marvelous deeds. You alone are God.
Peace, bring it all to peace. Storm surrounded me, let it break. At your name, still call the sea to still, the rage in me to still every wave. At your name, Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus. Call these bones to live, call these lungs to sing once again. I will praise Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, your name is a lie that the shadows can't deny. Your name cannot be overcome. Your name is alive, forever lifted high. Your name cannot be overcome. And Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, 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 you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, 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 Jesus. just what to do, and I will love you, Lord, my strength, and I will love you, Lord, my shield, and I will love you, Lord, my rock, forever all my days I will love you, God. And hallelujah, our God reigns. And hallelujah, our God reigns. And hallelujah, our God reigns. Forever all my days, hallelujah. And hallelujah, our God reigns. And hallelujah, our God reigns. And hallelujah, our God reigns. Forever all my days, hallelujah. Forever all my days, hallelujah.
Well, what is up, everybody? Welcome. Thanks for joining us again. And we're just so thrilled that you've hit play. Again, I think this is the spiel every week. Where you hit play, wherever you're from, we're so thankful that you've taken some time out of your day to join us for our online gathering. And happy Father's Day. It's Father's Day. So to all the dads, and even if you aren't a dad, you're part of the Praxis community and you're a guy, we just want to send love your way. We hope you get to enjoy the day today a little bit and enjoy the weather and all that's going on. And we just celebrate all the fathers and all the men a part of our church today. Now, if you weren't with us last week, this is actually kind of a two-parter. We had an amazing time with some guys here last week and had a great time just hearing their hearts as we talked about racial reconciliation and just some of the things that are going and we've been seeing happen in our world as far as race over the last little while. And I'm just so thankful for their input and their heart and just hearing what they have to say. We've been saying that these are kind of like back deck moments. This isn't as much a teaching from the scriptures, but it's more just us sharing as guys. And so these guys have actually come back and they're joining us again and they're going to help share a little bit here. It's so great to have you guys with us. Thanks for being with us again. So good to see you guys.
Great to be back.
Hey guys.
All right, so we last week kind of started with a little bit of rapid fire. Let's do it again. I thought last week was fun. Okay, so if you could be a superhero or have a superpower, what would it be, Jay? Putting you on the spot.
I guess like to be able to fly.
Okay.
I want to fly. Be good.
Sweet. Marco.
Mine would be to read my wife's mind.
Oh, you've thought this one through. I like that.
My boys are into superheroes and stuff, Marvel and all the wonderful things about it. So I'm going to say Captain America.
Cool. Captain America. I like it. All right, first car. Do you remember first car?
I can. It was awful. It was it was supposed to be cool. It was an Alfa Romeo, which sounds really fancy, but like Laura can tell you, it was sketchy to say the least. Nice. But yeah, it was Silva. Her name was actually Sylvia. I called her Sylvia because she was Italian. She was no stallion. I can tell you that.
I love it.
Mine was a 1998 Hyundai Elantra, 4-door sedan.
Ooh.
I had it for about 4 hours. I got into a car accident pulling out of Service Ontario parking lot, so that sucked.
I forgot about that until now. So that story is legendary.
That was my first car.
There you go. 4
Wow,
hours.
sorry, Mark. Wow, that's tough. I had my first car. I think I was 19 or 20, and it was a VW Fox.
Nice.
Little boxy car. It was a Fox. So yeah.
Sweet. All right. Raptors. Let's talk Raptors. Legitimate chance to repeat at Disney World. I know you don't watch a lot of basketball, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, it's at Disneyland, right? Anything can happen at Disney.
For sure.
But I think, right, they've been there before. I believe in the coach. I couldn't say that a year ago I believed in the coach. I should have. But yeah, they have all the pieces. Everyone's so rested. I mean, LeBron's rested too, so I'm a bit scared of that.
That is true.
Like, even though I think MJ's the GOAT, he's
Yeah.
LeBron. So, but yeah, Raptors have a legit opportunity to do it again.
What do you think, Marco?
I believe in Jay, so if Jay believes that the Raptors can do it again, then they can.
Nice. Skeptical, Serge?
I don't think it can happen. I am a Raptors somewhat believer, but I guess you can call me a skeptic. I don't think it. This year is a tough year for them.
That's called a Spurs fan, isn't it, Serge? That's called a Spurs fan.
And they're
right.
staying home, aren't they? They're at
Yes.
home, aren't they? Did the Spurs even get the invite? I don't think they did.
No, I don't think the Spurs got the invite.
I see the
I don't know.
I have the
Yeah.
Raptors playing the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Final, but I see Boston maybe. Anyways, I see Boston potentially getting through. That's for another time. All right, pineapple on pizza. Yeah,
It's a thing. It's a thing. Yeah, it's a thing.
yeah.
It's a thing.
Get it every time.
Okay.
It's called Hawaiian pizza,
All right.
and I love it.
We should just pray and close on that one, right? We're done with it. All right. What about Tom Brady? Okay, Tom Brady, greatest of all time. Over under, like how I put that in there. Over under for 30 touchdowns this year.
With Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, with Gronk, I say over. Over, yeah.
Fantasy football champion. This is right up your alley, Marco. Fantasy football champion.
I haven't looked at the numbers yet, but he's done really well the last number of years, and I don't think age is going to stop him, so I'm going to go over.
Beauty.
Drew, you just had to put a Tom Brady question in there.
Every time, man. Every time.
I'm gonna say over. I believe in Tom Brady.
Me too. Me too. Last song you played on your phone.
Oh.
Actually, last song was the other day I put on. I actually got to drive my car, which sounds exciting, but I had to drive somewhere and I didn't have kids in the car. And sometimes I have music, and there's the language can sometimes be sketchy. But
Sure.
there was one song, an artist from the UK called Dave. It sounds really like a tough guy, but Dave. But he has the song called Black. And it's probably like from 18 months ago.
Okay.
And I remember actually playing it for some of our guys last summer. And it just talks about like life as a black person. And it kind of just unpacks things. But, I think sometimes, or a lot of the time, musicians are extremely smart and sometimes see things before the rest of us do. But now, I just kind of to listen to that as I was driving and just thinking about life.
Cool. Marco, last song?
I can't remember the last song I played on my phone, but in the other day in my car, I put in the Alexis on Fire CD.
Nice.
So it's old school, but
Bringing it back.
yeah,
Serge.
for sure.
I don't remember the last song, but I do remember playing a playlist for a workout that we do with some of our guys on Monday. So it was just some playlist. But when I do like to, listen to an artist, I love Drake.
Cool.
I love Drake.
Cool. All right, one final question then. Messi or Ronaldo? We've done the basketball. Messi or Ronaldo? Is it close?
Messi.
Whoa.
Ronaldo.
Yeah, I'd call you a traitor if you didn't go for Ronaldo there, Marco. But Messi all the way
Marco
for
has
me.
to. Yeah. Messi.
Go
sweet.
Barcelona.
Nice.
I went to a Barcelona game 5 years ago, I think it was, and Messi blew out his knee in the first 30 seconds of the game. I think it was 2 minutes into the game, so
Oh, man.
it's Messi's nothing to me now.
He ruined your evening. Love it. Well, Paul says this in Titus, today's Father's Day. He gives some instruction, just really, I think, important instruction to different groups within the church. But in particular, you read in Titus 2, it says this: "You, however, must teach what is appropriate to sound doctrine. Teach the old men to be temperate, worthy of respect, self-controlled, and sound in faith, in love, and endurance." And then he goes on, "Similarly, encourage the young men to be self-controlled. In everything set them an example by doing what is good. In your teaching show integrity, seriousness, and soundness of speech that cannot be condemned, so that those who oppose you may be ashamed because they have nothing bad to say about us. For the grace of God has appeared that offers salvation to all people. It teaches us to say no to ungodliness and worldly passions, and to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives in this present age, while we wait for the blessed hope, the appearing of the glory of our great God and Savior Jesus Christ, who gave himself for us to redeem us from all wickedness and to purity for himself, a people that are his very own, eager to do what is good." And we say amen to that. You guys did such a great job with us last week, just as we wrestled and talked through racial issues and some of the things we're seeing in racial reconciliation. I'd love to talk with you guys, because you're all dads, just about fatherhood and men in the church. And I would love to talk to you as well about just passing this on, about mentoring the next generation, because I know that's something this is what's so beautiful about this group, is I know it's on our heart. So maybe just go around the horn quick. And I know you did this last week, you did an introduction, but just tell us again just about your family. Maybe you can start, Jay.
So I'm married to Laura. We have 2 kids. Isabella is 6 and Joseph is 3.
Awesome. Marco.
So I'm married to Chelsea, and we have son Elias, who will be 2 in August, and we have another boy that will be joining us sometime in the next 4 to 5 weeks, so probably July of 2020.
Amazing.
All right, I'm married to Nicole, and we have 2 boys, Noah, who's 14, and Micah, who is 9, about to turn 10.
Amazing. Yeah, it's so cool to know your families and know you guys, and just to see how your dads. Maybe you could just tell us, what's one thing you love about being a dad? Today's Father's Day. Hopefully, you're getting the royal treatment. What would you say is at the top of the list as far as being a dad?
I'll go first. The one thing I love about being a dad is just really, I think, the unique opportunity to just to have somebody to enjoy life with, to have people to enjoy life with, and also just the ability to teach different things, whether it's teaching my kid to ride a bike. There's something just so fulfilling about that, or teaching how to do something. It's pretty cool, and to just be able to see them grow up, it's something that's special about it. You can't really explain that.
Cool.
Yeah, for me, it's I'm fairly new on this fatherhood journey, but the last couple of years has just been watching Elias just learn. So you can almost see them learn when you stare at him, and I think just seeing him learn, seeing him discover what he likes and what he doesn't like, and just seeing how he's going to react in certain situations, and just watching him grow and learn has just been incredible for me. It's definitely a slower pace for sure. Just, even walking down the street, walking at his own pace, and just watching him play in the dirt and whatnot. I don't know. It's just been, it's been awesome. I've really, really enjoyed that part of fatherhood so far.
Amazing. Jay.
Thinking about it, I think one of the things I love being with my kids, and probably why I like just kind of goofing around with them and joking around, is like they don't show any judgment. They kind of see you for the best. I think, I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah. I feel like when my kids look at me, they always try to see the best in me, and that's we can learn so much from that, and that's why it is so much fun, and where you can just have so much with your kids, and even in moments where things are hard with work or in other things, you just kind of have those moments where it's just pure joy, just for the sake of it. And it's just they're just a great reminder of, just our humanness, and the fact that we need that, we need those moments to laugh, and those moments to feel joy too.
Yeah, fatherhood's amazing. We know, again, just like Mother's Day, we always say, we know that that's not a reality for everybody. And we always say, as a community, we want to come alongside those who want to be fathers and are anticipating that. And we know that some of these landmarks that we celebrate, especially in the spring, aren't always the best moments for people. We want to be a community authentic enough to put that on the table. And so if you're mourning today or you're wrestling through this and it's maybe you're experiencing pain, we acknowledge that, and there's part of us that laments with those that are really hoping for that for their lives. We've had a great discussion last week. I would love to hear from you guys a little bit just about men and dudes in the church. Again, it is Father's Day. What do you guys think the church needs from men in our moment? Like Praxis and even beyond, just the church in general. Have you guys thought through maybe what the church really needs from men? It's an interesting, again, moment that we're in with this pandemic. A lot of people, there's all sorts of pundits that, are talking about the church in the future and what that's going to look like. But at this moment in history, even with some of the things we talked about last week and the pandemic and all that's going on, what do you think? What does the church need from us as guys?
I think one of the things that it needs is just for guys to be consistent and present. So I think that, to be able to be there, to be able to just be in the moment and spend time with, especially the younger generation, spend time with them and listen to them and play with them. And I think that's one of the biggest things that the church and society in general needs right now from men.
Yeah.
I would say that one of the things that I totally agree with Marco. One of the things that's needed is for men to be present, for men to be able to listen, for men to lead by example. I think right now, speaking of leading by example, there's a big leadership void in the world right now, and it's a very glaring issue. I think a lot of the problems that we see today, whether it's pandemic related or whether it's the recent racial sort of awareness issues that are happening, we need leaders, and we have an opportunity to, with being fathers, to really mentor and to show our young ones how to be leaders, how to just be good people.
Yeah, let's actually talk about that because, Marco, what I love about you, Marco, we've known each other a long time, and you've been involved with youth ministry. You've poured your life out for others over the years in a church setting, and it's been just so awesome to see. Now you're on the lead team at Praxis, and what I love about your voice is just thinking about the next generation and whatnot. I think a lot of people know your work and your involvement. It'd be interesting to hear from you guys, Jay and Serge, a little bit, because some of your work is with young men in the community, especially through basketball. And I've seen firsthand both of you, the work that you guys do. It's phenomenal, coaching and leading. I've seen obviously Serge firsthand just with his guys at some of his games, and then Jay, I had the opportunity last year to spend a week with the guys in the mornings for a Compass basketball camp. Do you two just want to take a second and just share a little bit about what you're doing and what you're seeing as far as mentorship in the community and kind of raising up young men and what you're teaching them?
Yeah, I'd like to answer the previous question as well, which kind of goes alongside the mentoring. I think that within the church and just within the society today, especially in a Western world, there are a lot of men and a lot of fathers. I think we don't always know who we're supposed to be, and we don't always think we're allowed to make mistakes. And so sometimes we, as men and as fathers, we trying to right the wrongs of our own fathers, and we can get caught up in a cycle of trying to fit a certain mold and trying to live up to all these expectations. But I think one of the things that I've just been trying to work on myself is just being comfortable in my own skin and knowing that I can't do everything. And if my kids say, even yesterday, my daughter was like, "Oh, Dad, I wish we could have a bigger house, and I wish we could have this, and I wish I could have that." I need to be okay with that as a dad and just be actually, we can't afford that right now. And and I don't have to go to bed worrying about that or feel like I'm letting my family down. That's just how it is, and it's okay. And I think it's, as men, we just to find a definition of what a man is and who do I look up to. And then I think it's been helpful for me because my dad passed away years ago, and so I don't have a dad that I can just call and ask for advice. But to be honest, like God's put men in my life. Some of them they don't even know about it, but I look to them, and I look to them as an example, and I look to them for encouragement, and also just to see how. And I think with the guys that I work with, so they are predominantly high school age boys, I think it's kind of the same. I think as a coach, I realize that we have an opportunity again within this Canadian environment, which loves sport. And I realize that, for a lot of boys, their coach is potentially the strongest figure in their lives in school. And I know when I played at high school, like I remember every single coach that I had, whether good or bad, like I remember it. And I think it's important for me to as I mentor players or mentor these boys, that I also need to be myself. And I can't, like when I stand in front of my players, I can't say to them, hey, I'm Coach Jay, I played Division I basketball, I went to the NBA. Actually, I didn't do either of those things. But in who I am, I work as hard as I can to help you. And I work as hard as I can to educate myself as a coach and in everything that I do. But I think it's really important, like, for guys to know, especially in the church, that you don't have to be like someone else, and you don't have to be like Drew, or you don't have to be like Serge or Mark or Jay. You just have to be how God created you, and then see who you can affect within that. I just think it's just for me, just over the last year or so, like that's been something that I've seen in my own life, and people that I know, just like God used people in how He created them, as opposed to like trying to fit this perfect mold in the church, which sometimes honestly, I think in the church it's sometimes worse, because we're trying to live up to this thing, and we're trying to live up to being perfect in every way. And then when we don't, and we fail and we screw up, it's even harder to own up to that. And I just think it's being okay in your own skin, and knowing and trusting God in that, and then figuring out, like, how do I affect other people in my personality and in the skills and the gifts that God has given me, and in the area that he's put me in.
What I love about you, Jay, and I know this isn't just like to pump your tires, but just being at the camp and watching you coach, and the drills going and everybody's going hard, and then the whistle blows, and then there's these just incredible teaching moments. It really blew my mind that what you're doing through Youth for Christ and through Compass Basketball as you raise these kids up is not just about basketball. And those images will be very vivid in my memory for a long time, of just going hard and working, with kids obviously on their skills, but then these little moments of just to see the impact of you pouring into their lives. It's pretty incredible. Serge, you have a competitive group of, I guess, what are they, 14 under now?
They're 14 and under.
Yeah,
still.
crazy how time flies. Just share, like, what are the mentoring things you've seen and you've experienced through that, and pouring into lives in the community.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I first started coaching when I was 20. I was or 20 or 21. I was volunteering, actually, just filling in for Nicole, actually, who was coaching a team of in the Chinese community, and I filled in for her, and I never thought I would be a coach down the road. And then years later, I started coaching Noah, who's now 14. And it's been about 4 or 5 years. And I've been coaching that more or less the same group of kids, with some that have gone and some new ones that have come. And it's been eye-opening what it means to be a coach. A coach is not just somebody who gives X's and O's, but for me, the thing that's been the most eye-opening thing is how much you're relied upon to be a mentor. A lot of the kids that are within our care, within our community, the community that Jay and I serve, don't have they don't always have fathers who are around. Whether they have fathers who live with them, but they're not always around or equipped to help them the way that a coach can. And it's pretty amazing to be able to see that. And as they get older, they start relying less on their parents, but then they start to look more towards their coaches and the other men in their lives. And that's been the most eye-opening thing for me. And I've just loved the opportunity to be able to mentor and then to show them how, even with the difficult cases that we get, difficult athletes that we get, that you could easily just write off. I've learned as well through Jay. I think Jay said this one day to me. I don't know if he remembers that. He's had probably 4 or 5 of those kids that you could just easily write off. But the thing that you have to do is to give them a chance, because no one else will otherwise. And to me, that's what it's about.
Cool. Well, again, and I've just seen firsthand your work and the ministry that's involved. What I love about it, just to encourage you guys, is just the blurred lines in many ways. And that's, I think, a good thing, of just caring and loving these guys and raising them up. And then the basketball side too, obviously, of skill development, all that.
And just to add to that too, if you don't mind, Drew, is there is also an opportunity standpoint for that comes with coaching as well. So obviously the mentorship is great and it's important. But Jay and I both coach competitive teams, and there's huge opportunities that come with that. And we're trying to provide opportunities for these kids to first of all value school, and hopefully get an opportunity to play post-secondary sports, basketball, somewhere down the line. And some of them could be pros down the road too. So it's also about giving them those opportunities where that may not have existed before.
One of the most profound things that I saw, and we might have spoken about this earlier in another day, but The Last Dance, which was a documentary on ESPN about Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls, but one of the most profound moments in that whole series, all 10 episodes that Laura had to watch with me, but and I'll never forget it, was that moment, after the first time the Bulls won the championship, after Michael Jordan's father had passed away, and we saw him celebrate. We saw him in the championships before, but in that first championship they won without his dad. And they show him on the court, like just the look in his face. And then when they go into the change room, he just fell into the ground and just started sobbing. And just in that moment, you see this guy that people look up to, that everyone wants to be like, and he's just sobbing because he just wishes his dad could see him. And literally the next day, I saw this interview with Tom Brady, of all people. Drew, I thought I'd give you a shout out there. But
I love it.
Tom Brady was interviewed, and they asked him, I think it was also after Super Bowl or before a Super Bowl, and said, who is someone that you look up to? And he started to think for a bit, and then he said, actually, my dad. And then he started talking, and as he starts to talk, he just goes quiet, and he's just overwhelmed with emotion. And then he starts talking about his own father and what his father meant to him. And again, to me, those are profound moments, to see these men that everyone, looks at and want to be like. And sometimes people worship them. And these two men are speechless when they speak about their own fathers, and are overwhelmed with emotion when they talk about their fathers. And I think that's a special thing. And there's something to that. It's a beautiful thing.
Mark, let's talk about the church. One of the things we said on Mother's Day with the moms is, there may even be people that choose not to have children. But one of the things we said, and I believe it to be true, deep down in my bones, I believe it to be true, is that even if people don't have their own children, having spiritual children is so, so important, all of us. And here we are on Father's Day, and I believe exactly the same. We need fathers in the church, whether we have our own biological kids or not. I know around this discussion we do. It'd be just interesting to hear, your involvement with the church. You're such a great voice in helping lead our church forward. What should we be depositing into the next generation? What do you hope for your own kids? And we can say plural here because we're just weeks away now from you having two kids, and it's so exciting. As we think about the church and your own family, what do you want to leave for the next generation? It's time to start thinking like that. It's crazy.
For sure. No, you're absolutely right. It is definitely crazy. Just thinking back, about myself when I was a teenager or younger in church, and just looking at the people that influenced me, and it wasn't. For me, it was a little bit different. It wasn't necessarily my father, though he was present and whatnot. He was distant as well. And so for me, what impacted my life, both spiritually and my day-to-day life as well, was a lot of the interactions I had with other men within the church, right? And so that's always on my mind as to how can I be that as well. And I think that I've got some work to do, in all honesty and transparency. I think I have some work to do to get there, because I don't think I'm there quite yet. But I think that what we need to do as men and women of the church, I think for both, is that we have to be able to open up our doors to other people's kids, my door has to be open to Jay's kids and yours kids and Serge's kids, so that they can come over and hang out if they want. That they can feel comfortable asking questions if they want. Create safe spaces where kids can be, themselves at home, their own home. But if they're not able to be themselves there, they can be themselves at your place.
Yeah. We often say, and I know, and we say this with our team as well. And I know it's cliche, but it does take a village. It really does take a village. And I think cliches are cliches for a reason, is because there's a lot of truth in that, and just what it takes. And it's going to take spiritual mothers and fathers. And we want to encourage our own church family, as you're listening to this, and all the guys, that you really do have a part to play. As we hear about, both in the church and then in the community, this mentoring and this cultivation of leading other people, we need you. The church, we need you to join in and jump in. I love the idea of the open door. It's just so important. Such great insight here. Let's close with this. Maybe one last thing, and then we'll close our time and let the dads get to what they are. Hopefully, maybe in our family, some shawarma drop off. Hey, or go get me, maybe. Just putting it out there. But anyways, it's like less than a kilometer away. So my daughter's behind the camera right now, and she's nodding her head. Are you nodding? She's nodding her head. So it's good times. Just let your mom know. But I would just maybe go around the horn here. What's one thing? I know we've already deposited a lot over these 2 weeks, and I just want to thank you. But what would be one thing you could just encourage the guys with today on Dad's Day and Dude's Day?
I think for me, just one of the things I think Serge said earlier was about just leadership and the need for leadership in the church. And I think it's, for anyone, but especially that there is a need for men, whether they're fathers or not, but for men to influence the people around you, whether it's your colleagues, whether it's younger people. I know sometimes I've spoken to guys who are like, well, Jay, I can't play the guitar and I don't want to do Sunday school and I can't do that. But it's, there are other ways to affect people. And I think it's just find a way to influence people around you, whether younger than you or older than you, but find something that is natural to you, that feels good to you, where you are comfortable, and see, who it is that you could influence and maybe speak life. Without you even knowing it, you could be bringing life and speaking life into someone's heart that really, really needs it. I think just as I'm speaking, I remember and I realized in this quarantine, as I thought about it, that there are a lot, and I'm including myself in this, there are a lot of lonely men. And when I say lonely, I mean like just guys who want friendship, and I'm going to be honest, I'm going to almost have a confessional here, but like I realized like I want friendship. Like I want deep friendship with other guys that are meaningful, that is more talk than just, the game last night. Because I know that when I've had that in my life, it's changed my life. And when I've had that input and Serge is someone that he might not even know it, but he's someone that has affected my life and spoken life into me and challenged me as a man, as a father, as someone who follows Jesus. And I realized, and over this quarantine, I've realized that as guys, we need that, especially. And not only do we need it, but we need to go and seek it. Like, we can't just be scared and shy and whatever. Like, I do believe that genuine, authentic relationship and friendship can help bring life, and that God can speak through that.
Amen. So good. Marco, what do you think? What's one thing you could kind of look into the camera, guys of Praxis, those that are watching, especially during this unique time? What do you think?
Yeah, I would say just not to be afraid to look weak. That's I'll be completely transparent. That's always a fear that I have, is to be embarrassed or to make myself look silly or whatever the case is. So I would say that within church context and just in general to not be afraid of that not to be self-conscious about that specifically, and to reach out. Like Jay said, I think we all long for those deeper relationships, and so I think just step out on the limb, reach out, and try to develop those relationships.
So good. Serge, what do you think?
Yeah, these guys put it very well. I think I would echo the same thing. I think that for men, it's important to be able to reach out. It's not within us naturally to be vulnerable. But I think more than ever, especially within the church, you're in a safe space where you are people who believe in the same thing, who hope for the same thing. So what better environment to be in than to be in the church? And there are a lot of great guys I know at Praxis that are great. I think it'll be good to reach out, whether it's you doing the reaching out or being reached out to. I think that's important. I would just add as well that again, going back to my comments on leadership void, is kids look up to us. I've realized that more and more, especially having my teenager now, and coaching a team, that kids look up to us, and we have to be able to show them the way. We have to show them how, and we can do it for each other, and we can do it for the ones coming up after us as well.
Amazing. Yeah, well, this has been so good, guys. Your input has been so great. And again, I think this is kind of like a back deck bonfire moment where we've just been able for a couple weeks just to kind of kick back, and we need to hear what's going on in each other's lives. And this has been really beneficial for me. I know for our community, I know those of you that are listening, I'm sure has been an encouragement to you as well. We had these 2 weeks before our summer campaign and summer series that we're going to start. And I think this has been the best way to kind of wrestle through. And my prayer is that this would just start conversation. We know many of our communities are meeting over Zoom, and many of you are connecting together. I pray that last week, as we talked about racial issues and reconciliation, and this week about mentoring and fatherhood and the role that we all play, that this could as well just start these little micro conversations all over the place as God carries us further. So what a great way to be able to kind of have these 2 weeks together. And I just want to say thanks to you guys for hanging out with us. Just to let you know, if you're part of the Praxis community, we start actually something pretty big next week. Next week we start a brand new series for the summer months called Faith for Exiles, and we have actually delivered this book to hopefully every single household in the church. And we just want to let you know that if you for some reason are a part of Praxis and did not get this, please reach out to us. It should have arrived or should be arriving. It's kind of a big operation to get everybody books and stuff like this, so we wanted to let you know that if for some reason you didn't get it, just please reach out. We'll get one to you. And this is a great book that's going to lead us through some discussion about discipleship in our current moment. And we're going to take the principles from this book and also look to the scripture scriptures, and I think it's really going to lead us well in what it means to be faithful disciples in a very changing moment. And obviously this book was written before Corona. We even have some things to wrestle through around COVID-19 and Corona, what this means for us. And I think it's going to be really great. We actually have a midweek podcast we'll be doing as well, and some different resources we're going to send your way because of this, and I'm really excited about it. So join us next week as we jump into that 8 or 9 week series over the summer months of July and August. Hard to believe it's here. But again, thank you to you guys. Let's do this. Let me just pray this again over us as a church, and we'll be on our way. Let me say it over you. Father, whose Son Jesus is the good shepherd of your people, grant that when we hear his voice, that we know him who calls us each by name. Empower us to follow where you lead us. You live and reign, one God, forever and ever. And we all say together, amen. Grace and peace. We'll see you next week. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.